It is now
Satu.
on.
It's going. Hi guys, I'm back with my girl, my number one girl. Don't do that. Don't do that. I am here with Idriss. He's my brother.
She my sister.
He's my friend.
She my friend.
Since we go way back. So I'm really excited. Thank you for, doing this with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So I like to get straight into things. I don't have time to, all that small talk.
Alright, fine.
Okay. So, the reason why I wanted to talk to what we're going to talk about to you is because one of the things that I like about you is how you are with people. Like how such a heart for people, and you're so nice to people, and you're kind, and you're never I never heard you be like, no, bun this person out, I'm done. You're always like, oh, but I understand this person. And me on the other hand, I'm kind of just not patient with people, and I'm kind of quick to cut ties and be like, whatever, I don't have time for this. So I always wondered what it was like to be in the brain of somebody like you. Do you think it's something that you had to develop, or you just you're just born like that?
I mean, it happens to me to be like, you know what, I'm gonna cut this person off, but only because I feel like we're not going the same direction or anything like that. Not because of necessarily.
Well, you don't though. You're still cool.
Yeah, I'm open to re-talk to the person or somewhat be close to the person, but there's levels to it, right? Okay. Obviously, I'm not gonna be close to someone that I feel like is just taking advantage of me. The same way that I'll be close to you or another good friend that's always been there, right? But what I try to do is that I try to put myself in their shoes. To understand their story, to understand what they're going through, how they've been raised or whatever. And I always try to see it from outside my head and my heart. And even every time I question myself, maybe it's me, right? Just to answer that. But I mean, for me, I don't see any. I'm usually in general, I think I look at people and I take my time to analyze them, vet them out before even they're close to me, right?
Yeah.
So I think once I get to the point where I'm like, okay, you can't be that close to me, is that you've proven me that you can't be that person. Okay. Right? I give you time to prove that to me.
Okay, so you would say that's just how you are. You've always been like that.
Yeah, basically. And to be honest, I just don't care that much as well. It's for me to care about you or to care about your life or anything, it means that you have proven to me that I should care. Okay. And that we're close like that. You know what I mean? If we're not that close, if you haven't proven that to me, then it really doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just a you thing, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. So I just take you like that, right? The only time it would upset me is if I felt that we were close or I expected something of you and then you disappointed. Exactly. So
interesting. I'm not like that at all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a way I'm naive because I don't go into situations. I don't think or expect anything bad from people, right? So maybe that's why I'm more quick to be like, oh, okay, round one, you're out, But I feel like there's also a difference between the people we actually do care about and the people we don't care about. Because, the random people, you're not going to put your energy and you don't need to use patience. Just okay, whatever, God bless you. But the people who are close to you, though, because I don't want to say too much, but I've seen you in situations with, close friends who could, be annoying or do stuff that kind of annoy you, but you're still there, you're still riding with them, and I'm just
I think the thing with close friends as well is that I understand that there are times and seasons where I myself I haven't necessarily been a good friend to them. Okay. Because of what I was going through, or I don't know, my situation at the moment,
Yeah.
right? And I also understand that like friendships evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe in one season we were super close,
Yeah.
and another season we won't be.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that we can't be friends, and that another season we won't be friends, or that we won't relate to something specific in the future.
Yeah.
So I guess with close friends, I just try to see how it evolves, and now I don't force it, because I think one thing is that before I felt like I don't have many friends in general. So I felt like if we were friends and we were close friends, it means that like, you know, it's the type of friendship that we would see each other every day. We do like most of our things together every day.
Yeah.
But like then I grew up and I started like doing my thing on my own, understanding that I can do things with other people, some things with other people. Not being basically codependent in friendship.
Yeah.
And that taught me how to just be by myself and be okay with myself, you know. And so when I started learning more about myself, you know, I started having less expectations on my friends, and also just being more patient with them and their situation, and understanding that they also have a process to, you know, to go through.
Yeah, but that's good. Because for someone who's growing into it, I think that I just was not born with the patience gene. Like, when I was younger, it was worse. Because even, like, the small things, like, waiting in line at the grocery store, like, it just irritated me. Like, I would always, like, shop at super early or super late because I wouldn't have to wait and stuff like that. And then with people, it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It's irritating, you know? Because it's, like, when something clicks in my head, and like the person in front of me is not getting what I'm trying to say, it's just like, okay, just get out of my way, right? And then so I went through people like that. I would just like be like, okay, you know, get on my nerves. But then, you know, thank God changes people. And it's also something that as a human being for your relationship, like, because if you don't have patience or if you don't learn these things, like, you're never going to have friends, you're never going to have healthy relationships. Like, you're going to keep like cutting everybody off. Everybody's going to be the problem. You're just perfect. So we can't just live like that. So for somebody who's growing into like her patience, I would say that for me too, it's just, I'm gonna be real. So what happened was this one time I was in a situation. I had a friend, and we were cool. Like, we would hang out. You know, everything was good. We're growing like into our relationship and stuff. And then something happened that she didn't like, right? And she told me, and then I was apologetic because I was like, oh my God, like I'm sorry, like I didn't, you know. And then from that moment where she told me and I apologized and I was really sorry, she still kind of just like pushed me to the side. And so it was kind of like I was getting a taste of my own medicine, right? So from that moment I was like, maybe that's not really nice, like to actually like write people off and do that. So, you know, in my approach now, it's just more so of like trying to understand me. So I definitely took the time to like understand who I am and how I function and stuff, but also just try to understand the person who's in front of me. Like, of course, now depending on the relationship, like if you're just a random, it's just whatever, I don't put my energy into it, I love you, like whatever. But if you're somebody who's close to me, like one thing that I am learning to do is just talk or communicate, like making sure that, you know, the person who's in front of me, like, do you understand where I'm coming from? Where do you come from? Like, are we getting each other? And just talk through things. So that has really helped me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, I think it's a process. I think it's something that you go through. And like, we were reading the definition before this, and one thing that I saw is that patience is a habit. So it's definitely something that you practice, that you get better at, and that you need to find yourself in a situation where you have to be patient. In a situation where you have to force yourself to literally kind of be uncomfortable, right?
Literally.
And have that conversation with yourself, with the other person, with the situation, and just think it through, right? Yeah,
it's not comfortable. But you as a nice guy, how do you know? Because like, it's just so nice, guys. You guys don't understand. I'm just like, but yeah, I'm just, okay, so as a nice person, as a nice guy, how do you go about feeling like you're the one who always cares more about people? Do you feel like that sometimes?
I don't feel like that. I feel like I just care.
Okay.
And the other person doesn't have to care as much as I do. You know what I mean? Maybe they're not, that's just not who they are to care that much. So I'm just like okay with me being a caring person. And then obviously sometimes you meet people that, that care a lot, they just care differently. True. You know what I mean? So I just don't really think so much about them. Yeah. Or I just think about me. I just think about if I'm still in not in a place where it's going against me or it's hurting me or it's abusive or I just want the relationship to always be healthy, right? That's what I strive for. So in a relationship, there are things that I'm gonna bring and that person is gonna bring that are gonna be different, and we should just be okay with that, right? The person doesn't have to care as much as I care, as long as it's balanced and it's healthy. So I think that's the most important thing, is just to have a healthy relationship in general, right? Like if the person is abusive of me, abusive of my kindness or anything, that's a big no-no. That's a red flag. It's like, I don't care who you are, what's our relationship, we can't go forward. Yeah.
So where do you draw that line though?
Where do I draw that line? Yeah. Well, exactly when it becomes unhealthy. When, for instance, I feel like there's this saying in, I don't know if it's in French, but basically it says like you need both of your hands to wash your hands. Whatever. Yeah. So if I'm bringing something to the relationship, you're also bringing something to the relationship. Like in general, like right now, my friendships, people that I call close are people that they're not necessarily doing something for me, but they're just like once a week or once every other week, they're calling just to check on me. Because we're having our lives, we're adults, like I'm a parent, we don't have time to do a lot of things, there's like quarantine. If you're just calling to say, hey, I thought about you, how are you doing? Or a small text, for me, that proves that like, oh, like you think about me, you're willing to make sure that everything is right, or that you will even give me a call if you feel like I'm not okay, just to check on me. For me, that's like, okay, you're trying to add something to the relationship. You care to some extent, right? And then there are people that just don't check on you, that just don't call you, and it doesn't mean that they're bad people or that they don't care. But it just means that in that season we're not going to be that close. Especially if I reach out.
That's the part.
And you don't. So
that's the part. But do you feel like your patience changes depending on the type of relationships in your life? Like whether it's like siblings, whether it's friends, whether it's like wife, like do you feel like...
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, there are some relationships like siblings, wife, kid, that is for life. You know what I mean? Like, you're always going to be my sister. That's the way it is. And so you might cheese me, but you're my sister. You know what I mean? And I cherish our relationship more than anything else. Like, I don't want our relationship to be in a bad position or whatever. So I learn how to, put my ego aside, understand, even reach out when I don't feel like it. The same thing with like you would do with your wife or with your kids. And then there are other relationships that are not the same. That I can cut you off.
It doesn't take all that.
You know what I mean? So definitely in some relationships you'll be less patient than others, just because you don't have to be in my life for the rest of my life. And so I don't put the same focus on it, for sure.
That's good. Any tips for people who are not patient and are trying to grow into it?
Well, I think like you said it right. It's all about learning yourself. It's about like understanding what's healthy for you. It's about understanding why you're not patient. You know what I mean? And then making it a habit, like saying that, taking a decision that in this situation, at this very moment, I'm gonna practice being patient. I'm gonna try to understand or see it from a different point of view. I think that will be one thing. And then also life will make you patient. When you're not gonna get your way, when you're gonna understand that in one situation you expected something and that's not what happened, and then you have to readjust. It comes with maturity as well.
For sure.
So
Yeah, it's definitely a very important life skill. And like I say, I don't think I was born with it, but I don't know why, but it's something that I am very intentional about growing into. So it's just pausing and thinking, like, okay, so in this situation, because relationships you care about or friendships you care about, like you said, like, we're old. We're adults. We're adults. It's like, it's not the same as, when we're in high school or whatever. So, sometimes I know that in certain seasons of my life, I'm going through stuff and maybe I don't want to talk to people, for example. And then when I'm okay and maybe the person in front of me, I expect them to just like kind of like just be there and, hey, what's going on? But maybe they're busy, or maybe, for whatever reason, it's just not constantly being like, okay, when I need you, you're not there, bye. But it's just about like pausing and be like, whoa, wait, like actually call the person. Are you okay? What's going on? Like, is everything okay? Just also just learning how to put your ego aside, like you said, and just like it's not always about you. And
but that brings to a point of like learning who you are to that person.
Yeah, sure.
And learning more about that person. You know what I mean? Like, I have to know that, for instance, Esther needs her space to process things. Or that when she will be willing to talk, she will talk. So all I have to do is like, yo, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. If you don't, that's fine too. You know what I mean? So it's also knowing about like your position in that relationship, in that person's life. And accepting that she might have other friends that will help her. Or she just wants somebody to be there that day just to, I don't know, watch a movie and I'll talk about something. And I guess that's also a way of practicing patience. It's understanding how to be there for the person, how to let space or, go. And some people want you to like call them and make sure and come and see them. And some people are just like, yo, back off.
Yeah, literally.
And which is fine too.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so I think it's just about, what was I going to say? More than like more than understanding who you are, but also just, I forgot what I wanted to say, but it's okay. I guess you said everything, and yeah, it's just about, for me, just being intentional about the way you process things, and just take your time, pause if you need to. Like, it's not always about us. And
facts.
Yeah,
it's definitely about the other person and giving them time and understanding them, and that's it.
Yeah. That's it. And just knowing, I think also, like, the last thing that I would say is just knowing your boundaries. And the thing about boundaries is it doesn't have to be a thing where you're like, if you cross me, I'm cutting you off. But it doesn't always have to be like that, but it can be silent. It can be like, okay, like, for example, maybe I'm having a bad day and I don't have room in my heart to entertain certain things. So instead of just me, putting my feelings or my needs aside just to be there for you in that moment, I am going to pause, take the time that I need, and then get back to you. So it's just like little things like that, not to just lose yourself, in the midst of your patience or your kindness too.
Well, that makes me think of like, most of the time, if I step back from a relationship, it's not because the other person necessarily did something or is doing something, but it's also because I want to protect my feelings. Simply, I'm just stepping back because the way our relationship is going or the way you're acting towards me, it doesn't suit me.
Yeah, it's not good for me.
It makes me think too much or puts my heart in a position that I don't like. So I'm just like, let me step back. Only especially if I feel like talking to you about it won't, change anything or won't bring something that will, like, bring me peace. Like, what if I just come to you and talk to you and then, like, you're just, like, making fun of it or,
or you're just
making it like it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. That means, like, you're not even at a point where you can understand me.
Yeah, that's
and
really
understand
hard.
What's going wrong with the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's when I just take a step back. But I wouldn't say that I caught you off.
You just take a step back, and that's fair because it's like there's nothing worse than talking to somebody. There's nothing worse than talking to somebody who just makes you feel not heard, and I feel like that's also just one unhealthy thing that you have to look out for. It's a lot of work, y'all.
It is, but only time helps with that. going through different situations, whether
Yeah.
it's with school, whether it's with work, you know, like from going from unemployed to employed. That's a whole process that will teach you how to be patient.
Yeah.
From failing,
Yeah.
failure will help you how to be patient with yourself.
It will humble you too.
Humble you. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So those experiences are key in our growth, right?
Yeah, that's true. And also just pray about it too.
Facts.
You know, just
Facts.
the Lord will help us, guys.
Faith and peace will help you definitely.
I'm believing. But anyway, guys, it was us. Thank you for listening. You know, like I always say, I'll put his IG stuff here if we can figure it out. Don't follow him actually. Well, I mean, if you're a man, follow him because he's taken.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm taken.
Right.
And she's fine.
She is
very
fine too.
Yeah.
So don't even try. Okay. All right. It was us. Bye, guys.